98.9, Centre, 97.3, Est-Ouest, 91.7.
RM1, it's 9 o'clock. The news with Pranav Beeharry. Good morning, Pranav.
Good morning, Sophie. Hello, everyone.
We start with the headlines.
Employment drops by 2,800 in early 2025 as unemployment rises to 6%. Behind the numbers, contrasting trends emerge in sectors like textile, tourism and aviation. More details in a moment. Closure of Orchard Centre over invalid fire certificates raises questions about compliance. Deputy Chief Fire Officer Ashok Ramdin explains the rules, inspections and plans to tighten the law. The world remembers Nelson Mandela today on what would have been his 107th birthday, a symbol of hope, forgiveness and equality. In this edition, we retrace his remarkable journey. And as part of the 2025 Jubilee, the Sacré-Cœur parish shines a light on former prisoners with a week-long program focused on reintegration and forgiveness. Father Jean-Claude Véder shares why this mission is so close to his heart. In international news, Air India cockpit recording suggests captain cut fuel to engines before crash, says news agency Reuters. We're going to start with the job market in Mauritius, where signs of stagnation are emerging. Fewer people employed, rising unemployment and shifts in the workforce, the latest statistics Mauritius figures for the first trimester of 2025 paint a mixed picture. At the start of the year, 547,600 Mauritians were employed, down by 2,800 compared to the previous trimester. Unemployment rose to 6%, up from 5.7% at the end of 2024. Behind these figures, however, lie contrasting sectorial realities. In the textile industry, for example, while some companies are still hiring, they struggle to attract Mauritian workers, says Avinash Gobardhan, Managing Director of Wenson Limited.
We are always on the lookout for people, but unfortunately not many Mauritians are willing to join us. That's why we often turn to foreign workers. And it's not just for machine operators, we also need carpenters, electricians and other skilled workers. Employing Mauritians costs us less than hiring foreign workers, but it's not about the salary. Many young people today have different aspirations.
The drop in employment has been gradual, but some say its roots go back much further. In the hospitality sector, the turning point came 5 years ago after the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Sidik Bodhi, CEO of Divine Island Destinations.
The main reasons lie in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has driven many young people to seek more stable jobs with better prospects for career growth. The crisis brought new uncertainties, particularly around tourism demand, which became much more fragile. Today, however, the sector has regained stability and offers real opportunities for career development. Still, young people face challenges that slow down their engagement. I believe it's time we place our trust in the younger generation once again.
According to Statistics Mauritius, currently 16% of the unemployed live in a household with no income earner, 41% are registered with the Employment Information Centre, and 26% are looking for their very first job. Air Mauritius is hiring as well. 12 new pilots joined the ranks on the national airline. Selected from more than 70 candidates, they will be starting their careers flying the airline's ATR 72s. This initiative is part of a development program aimed at ensuring the next generation of local flight crews. Anjali Siratin-Pulchan gives us more details.
These new pilots, recruited as first officers on the ATR 72 aircraft, were selected following a rigorous process conducted by the German firm Interpersonal GmbH, which specializes in aviation recruitment. Out of 73 candidates assessed, only 12 met the required standard in line with the airline's strict operational requirements. This initiative forms part of the Mauritius Pilot Development Program, a strategy aimed at training a new generation of local pilots to ensure the long-term sustainability of the country's air operations. Air Mauritius says it is committed to a fair and transparent selection process while meeting international standards, including those of the Mauritius Civil Aviation Requirements and the European Union Aviation Safety Agency.
Moving on to safety standards in public spaces, the recent closure of the Orchard Centre shopping mall in Quatre Bornes, after it was found to have a fire certificate that did not comply with the law, has raised questions about how this essential document is issued. According to Mauritian law, every building must have a valid fire certificate to ensure fire safety measures are in place. Deputy Chief Fire Officer Ashok Ramdian explains how long such certificates remain valid. He speaks to Ashibachu.
No one is permitted to occupy a building without a valid fire certificate. Building owners or occupiers must apply to renew their fire certificate at least 16 days before its expiry. During inspections, recommendations may be issued to ensure compliance. A re-inspection incurs a fee of 1,000 rupees. The cost of a fire certificate ranges from 1,000 to 25,000 rupees.
Still on fire safety, the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service keeps a close watch on buildings, conducting regular surprise checks known as enforcement inspections. When irregularities are found, owners are given 15 days to comply. And as Ashok Ramdian tells us, a prosecution unit is also in the pipeline to strengthen the law even further.
We frequently receive complaints prompting the deployment of the enforcement unit for inspections. Soon, we will establish our prosecution unit in accordance with Section 26 of the law to ensure compliance in all buildings. Offenders will be subject to fines.
Turning now to the world stage, if he was still alive, Nelson Mandela would have celebrated his 107th birthday today. Every year on the 18th of July, the United Nations invites the world to mark Nelson Mandela Day in honor of the South African leader, seen as one of humanity's greatest figures. Ashibachu takes us through the key chapters of his remarkable journey.
Imagine a man who spent 27 years of his life in prison, not for a crime, but for daring to dream of a world where everyone would be equal, where black and white people could have the same opportunities. This is the story of Nelson Mandela, a name that still resonates 12 years after his death. Born in 1918 in a suburb of Cape Town, South Africa, the man, affectionately called Madiba by his fellow citizens, quickly came to understand the injustice of apartheid, a monstrous system that separated people based on the color of their skin. A lawyer, he founded the first black law firm, determined to use his knowledge to serve his people. He then joined the ANC, the African National Congress, to fight this appalling segregation. Mandela did so with such conviction that he became for millions of South Africans a symbol, an embodiment of hope. His imprisonment, cruel and inhumane, never broke his spirit. From the depths of his Robben Island cell, Mandela forged the armor of a living legend. Upon his release from prison in 1990, Mandela surprised everyone by choosing reconciliation over revenge, reaching out to those who had imprisoned him, promoting forgiveness to build a united nation, a gesture that would earn him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. 1 year later, Nelson Mandela would achieve the unthinkable by becoming the first black president of South Africa, marking the beginning of a new era. Nelson Mandela died on December 5th, 2013, but his work lives on and his legacy keeps on.
In other news, as part of the 2025 Jubilee-themed Pilgrims of Hope, the Sacré-Cœur Parish in Beaubassin is organizing the Prisoners' Jubilee from the 20th to the 27th of July. The focus, reintegrating former prisoners, a challenge that remains pressing. Father Jean-Claude Védère, the driving force behind the Prisoners' Jubilee, shares his thoughts with Anjali Siraton Pulchon on this special week, which is visibly close to his heart.
8 jours de célébration.
8 days of extraordinary celebration in our parish, beginning with a special Mass on the 20th of July at 9:30 a.m. This Mass will be presided over by the Right Reverend Jean-Michel Duron, with Cardinal Maurice Piat in attendance. What makes it truly unique is that it will be animated by ex-prisoners alongside members of our parish community. Everyone is warmly invited to join, especially those going through difficult times and families who have a loved one in prison. This Mass is dedicated to them. Throughout the week, there will be many other highlights, moments of prayer, enriching workshops and visits to La Case l'Espérance, the parish's house for the poor, which will remain open for all 8 days. On Saturday, the 26th, after the 4:30 p.m. Mass, we will come together for a candlelight march from Barclay to the prison, where we will lay wreaths in memory of prisoners who suffered and lost their lives. We will conclude on the 27th of July with a Jubilee Mass and a special workshop for young people.
You're listening to the news on RM1. On the international stage, a cockpit recording of dialogue between the two pilots of the Air India flight that crashed last month supports the view that the captain cut the flow of fuel to the plane's engines, reports news agency Reuters based on a source briefed on US officials' early assessments of evidence. The first officer was at the controls of the Boeing 787 and asked the captain why he moved the fuel switches into a position that starved the engines of fuel and requested that he restore the fuel flow, the anonymous source told Reuters. The Wall Street Journal first reported similar information on Wednesday about the world's deadliest aviation accident in a decade. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, which is leading the investigation into the crash, said in a statement on Thursday that certain sections of the international media are repeatedly attempting to draw conclusions through selective and unverified reporting. It added that the investigation was ongoing and it remained too early to draw definitive conclusions. That's all for the news now. We'll be back in less than 1 hour. Thank you for tuning in to RM1.